go. Right, this morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. This is the session 359 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. Today is Monday, July 27th, 2026. This is a session that is part of the Wireless LAN Professionals Wi-Fi Design class. This is the exact same class we're giving to thousands of people throughout the years. We started with Ekahau, then we've done it with Ceros, we've done it with Hamina. This class is all of them. It's better than anything because you cover all the basics that you need about Wi-Fi. And if you're studying for CWNA, and some of you are, then every single thing we cover here is going to be useful for your journey. And then you can continue on to CWNA. And then we're going to cover all the basics about CWNA. We've done all of the sessions and have been recorded and uploaded to the Wi-Fi and things.com. And then we're going to start later. Once we cover all the basics and fundamentals, we're going to start designing with Hamina. Yes, Hamina Wireless, I'll get you licenses, you know. I mean, it's not going to be like a 10-year license or anything like that, but I'll get you a few months, you know. I'll get you enough for you to play with the tool, full license for design, the Planner Plus. And we already did it with the group in Spanish. We had like 5, 6, 7 sessions of how to learn Hamina Wireless, how to do Wi-Fi design with Hamina Wireless. Then we're going to use another tool called Wavelify. It's much cheaper. You're going to be using the same principles we're learning about right now. Then we're going to learn with Ekahau. Yes, you know, I was a trainer for Ekahau for over 10 years. And then we're going to be using not the online tool and stuff, because I asked for some temp licenses and Ekahau said, nope, we're not going to give you any licenses to teach a free class. We want to charge money for this. And say like, no, this is 100% free class. So I need licenses. Hamina said, yes, we'll give you licenses. We'll give you a full license for all your students. Ciro said the same thing. They say, we'll give you licenses, as many as you want. So we're going to be learning Ciros as well. And yes, we'll learn Ekahau with, you know, what I can do with the limitations that they put on us for not giving us some temp licenses. It's okay. It's all right. You're going to learn the whole thing. And the number one tool in design right now is Hamina anyway. So Ekahau is a company in DK, seems like. It's just not as good. Now it looks like they're playing catch with Hamina. So we're going to learn all of them, okay? This is non-biased. This is not sponsored. So we're going to be learning Ekahau. We're going to be learning Hamina. We're going to be learning. Oh, and when we get to the Ekahau part, I will share with you a whole bunch of report templates I have created over the year. I still use Ekahau. I love Ekahau. There are so many things that they do that the other ones don't, like the reports is one of the things. And the best part, we're going to be learning about all of them in here. So just hang tight. We'll be learning about real life stuff and how are we going to apply all this knowledge, not just to, if you're studying for CWNA, not just to learn the basics and learn all this terminology, and to them be learning about Wi-Fi interference. The interference word kind of brings a lot of stuff. You know, people think like, oh yeah, interference, we cover that Wi-Fi shares the medium with like technologies like Bluetooth and BLE and Zigbee, and there are wireless cameras, and we're going to have a session on a spectrum analysis, and we're going to see all kinds of things in the air. But the reality is you have your hand on, Martin, go ahead.
I just want to, when are you planning about having the last session for this CWNA part?
You're cutting in and out. When are we planning to what?
Just wait a second, I raise my microphone.
Seems like your microphone is in another room.
Yeah, but it was too weak. It's better now?
Hey, it's better now.
When are you planning to do the last part for the fundamentals here, the CWNA, so to say?
Oh, I don't know. It just keeps going. Because one of the advantages of this class is, one, it's free. Second, we're not bound to a brand, to a logo that you cannot mention anything about anybody else. No. We're just talking about everybody out there, every vendor, every tool. And the CWNA part, we're just going to go. And here's the other thing. Since we don't have a schedule and we don't have a tight timeline that we have to meet, then in some topics, if need be, we will just extend a little bit more. So it's probably going to be, I don't know, 5 more sessions. We're getting almost to the end of the CWNA part.
Why I mentioned this is because hopefully beginning September, the new version of CWNA will come out, the 110 version. And I have asked Tom Carpenter to send me the new topics that will be added, because it's 3 years old now. And he hadn't really reacted the way I wanted him to react. But he said that there are 4, 5, 6 new slides only. But my idea was, if I'm still in your class, I can grab a couple of minutes for you. And
absolutely. And you know what, Martin? Even if the CWNA or the Wi-Fi fundamentals is covered, we'll just do it again. I mean, we don't have to report.
No, it's just
anytime. Yeah.
For anyone who is planning to study by learning from your class here,
perfect.
They need to know what they're expecting for when it comes to, for example, MLO and
what's going to be on the new one. I don't think it's going to be much. I mean, RF hasn't.
Tom said they haven't finalized the topics yet, but he said that I, as a instructor, I don't need to be worried so much. The only part which is brand new basically is a little bit about using AI for administration, and that's probably just going to be an overview anyway. So, but
yeah. And I'm sure they're going to include something about Wi-Fi 7, and we'll cover all that here anyway. Yeah, we're going to have a session on that.
I just want to be sure that if anyone wants to go there, they are not taking the old exam, they're taking the new one. And the
CWNA 109 is good till this year, right?
Yeah, but it's why do you take something that is old when you can take the new one?
Yeah, absolutely. But the reality is, all of this RF stuff hasn't changed in 30 years.
Yeah, some of the stuff, I know. But there may be some new stuff that people would like to be interested in, of course. But the way I understand it is that it's not a revolutionary rebuild, which I was expecting that it should be modernized. But it's let's see what happens.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about Wi-Fi interference.
So one more thing. If I get some information about this, I will bring it to Manchester.
Oh, perfect. Yes, that would be nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, Wi-Fi interference. Talk about interference. Yes, interference, we tend to think that it's other things. Are there wireless cameras and microwave ovens? And we've talked about it in the past, and we will talk about it in the future. But record this in your minds. Most of the interference in Wi-Fi comes from Wi-Fi. We cause our own interference. Yes, there's interference from other sources. We'll get to a spectrum analysis, and we'll see that part. But when it comes to interference in Wi-Fi, most of the interference in Wi-Fi comes from Wi-Fi. It's that simple, okay? So let's cover some of these terms that for CWNA, you're gonna need to know all the terminology. If you're studying, and also in books and manuals, they use terms and use acronyms, a lot of them. So we have to know what they all mean. So let's start with BSS, Basic Service Set. This is basically a radio announcing one SSID, which SSID is another acronym, Service Set Identifier, and that's the name of the network. So a basic service set is a radio announcing an SSID and the devices associated with it. That's a basic service set. We talk also about a basic service set area. That is the area that radio physically covers, okay? The reality is that when you talk about basic service set area, it is the physical area that that radio announcing an SSID actually covers in real geographical space. We usually see it like this, like a circle. This is the basic service set. And it's very similar to basic service set area, okay? And tend to be the same, right? But then the basic service set is the logical unit that describes a radio announcing an SSID and all of the clients associated with it. The basic service set area is the same thing, but now we're talking about the actual area that it covers. In documentation, it also shows a circle. In reality, it is not a circle, even if it's an omnidirectional antenna. On open space, it's not going to be a perfect circle. The physical basic service set area is going to look more like this in a real space, in a real building. Okay, that's a basic service set area, and a service set identifier, the SSID, or the name of the network. Okay, simple enough. Hey, Pavel, how is it going?
Hey,
Doing good? All
Thanks.
right.
Yeah.
I got people from all over the place, even Gurpreet. Hey, I pronounced your name right today, huh? Gurpreet. From Canada. How's it going? Not driving anymore, huh? All right. Now let's talk about an extended service set, or ESS. The extended service set is basically this. You have a basic service set. Is one radio announcing one SSID and a series of devices associated with it. If you want to extend that SSID to other parts of the same building per se, then you're going to have another AP announcing the same SSID, the same network. So you're going to have the network corp, and then you're going to have it announced in another radio, and it has another basic service set. So this is one basic service set, is one radio announcing one SSID and the series of devices associated with it. And then you're going to have another radio. In this case, we're using another AP as an example. And then we are extending, see, extended. We are extending the service set identifier corp. That's an extended service set. Okay. Of course, in the previous class, we talked about the association process. Each one of these devices is going to go through that same process that you receive beacons, and you, of course, you're going to discover the network. You're going to receive beacons or send a probe request, receive probe responses, and then you're going to get authentication frames going once you choose the radio you want, and then you get an authentication frame back, and then you're going to send an association request frame and receive an association response frame. Once you get an association identifier, you are associated with that BSSID. Now, what comes above of getting IP addresses and going through authentication processes? If you have PSK, you go through a four-way handshake. If you're using that 1X, then you're going to go through a different process. We're going to see those later. So each basic service set is going to require clients to associate the same way we described yesterday. If we haven't watched that session, that was session 358. It is already uploaded to the Wi-Fi of things.com. Let me double check and make sure that is true. Remember, we have a website where we have all of these sessions recorded. There it is. If you go to WLANPros Wi-Fi design class, all of the sessions that are relevant to this Wi-Fi design class are here. We started with session 337, talking about regulatory domains and entities that make Wi-Fi possible, then cover RF amplitude frequency antennas. Then we learn about network interface controllers, NICs, how is it that they work, and then we learn about the contention process. How is it that devices gain access to the medium in Wi-Fi? And then we learn about modulations, and then we learn about channels. Anything, understanding channels in Wi-Fi. And then yesterday, the last session, we talked about the association process. Today, we're talking about Wi-Fi interference, not just interference overall, but just the terms that we need to know to understand better why is it that most of the interference in Wi-Fi comes from Wi-Fi. So we started with a basic service set, radio, announcing an SSID, and has clients associated with it. That's a basic service set. The area is the physical area that that basic service set covers. And then now we are on an extended service set, which is announcing the same SSID in multiple radios in multiple places. If we look at frames, and we will look at frames and spend time with frames, there is something called distribution system. I know this class is all about terminologies, man. We're going to be, we have to, I mean, there's no way around it, because when you are in Wi-Fi, you're going to have to talk to customers, and you're going to have to talk to people, and you're going to have to just use the right terminology. Wi-Fi is another language. You have to know how to speak it. So you say, like, yeah, the modem, you know, the modem is not working. Modem, what do you mean the modem? Yeah, what white box you put up in the ceiling? Oh, that's not a modem. The router. No, it's not a router either. It's an AP. You have to know the terminology, okay? So when we're talking about the distribution system, what is the distribution system? Let me grab one of these guys over here and grab a little cable. Okay, let me just grab this guy. Okay, grab this ingenious access point. All right. So the distribution system, or the DS, when we're talking about like packet captures and when we're analyzing stuff, we'll spend more time later doing that. But the distribution system is basically from the access point to the cable part, okay? In Wi-Fi, when we look at the bit that is called 2DS or from DS, we'll spend some time defining that. We're talking about the distribution system. So to simplify, to oversimplify this, the distribution system is the whole infrastructure side that covers the access point to the wire. So this is the DS. This is what connects all of those basic service sets together. Let's just oversimplify, put in a switch. This is the distribution system, the system that distributes connectivity to those APs. The distribution system medium makes reference to the actual medium we're using, because we could be using a wireless distribution system if you have wireless devices as a backhauls. If you don't have cable installed and you have work bridges in multiple places, then you're going to have a wireless distribution system. The medium, then, the distribution system medium makes reference to, is it cable, is it fiber, is it wireless? What is it? But the actual distribution system is how are you connected or interconnecting all of these basic service sets or extending them. Okay, questions or comments up to this point? All right, clear as mud. Let's continue. Now, let's talk about an SSID. The Service Set Identifier is basically the name of the network, okay? So in this case, I have one access point, AP1, that has 3 radios in 2.4, channel 11, in 5 gig, channel 48, and in 6 gigahertz, it's on channel 117, okay? All right. This is an SSID. That's the same SSID. That is the same as SSID, but it's being announced in 3 different radios, okay? So this is one basic service set. That's another basic service set. And that's another basic service set. Same SSID announced on the same AP on 3 different radios. SSID is the name of the network. Simple enough. Yesterday, or the last session, when we talked about the association process, German, how's it going? Today, good to see you. We got people from all
Can
over
you
the
hear me?
place this morning. Yes, can hear you okay.
Ligging on the couch. I've slept for 2 hours now.
All right. Recovering good?
I had chemotherapy at Thursday and I lost the form after that.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here. Get some rest. Man, we got people from all over the place. Somebody, I put a posting that we had people like from Russia, UK, Canada, and all these places. And somebody said like, you forgot to mention Singapore. So just put your country there and we'll just mention that in the next post so that I don't leave anybody behind. So you got Sweden, Norway.
Have a flag of wall of flag, Ferney. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that in Nepal. I've got a guy from along the way. Mark from Texas. Here we go. The Lone Star State. That's beautiful. Thank everybody for coming. I know you don't have to be here, but thanks for coming. That way I don't feel so lonely this morning. So Service Set Identifier, the name of the network. So yesterday we talked about the association process. If a phone comes near this AP and it's looking for a network, then depending on how it searches, then it's gonna go and it's gonna discover, let's say, these 3 guys. Now the client has to make a decision. Which one of the corp network am I going to join? Am I going to join this guy and give priority to 2.4? Maybe because I started there, I started in channel 1, and then I'm going to come through and realize that, oh, maybe channel 1 is good enough and I'm going to join channel 11. Or maybe it's going to look for in multiple channels and then conclude that, yeah, maybe channel 48 is better. Or maybe it's going to look at the reduced neighbor report in here. We're going to spend time learning about reduced neighbor reports later. Although that is also part of the links I gave out a couple days ago, a couple sessions ago, about the PSEs, the preferred scanning channels in 6 gigahertz, which 117 is not one of them, or is it? I don't remember. But then in this case, the client has to decide which one of these 3 SSIDs to join based on different metrics, channel width, channel utilization, or depending on the client, maybe it's more inclined to go to 2.4. Maybe it likes 5 gig better. If it has a 6 gig radio, the phone or the tablet may choose to join 6 gig. It's a decision that the client makes, but here we're just looking at this term, SSID. That's just the name of the network. Now, how do we identify to which radio am I going to join? Because here's the thing. If I go to my Wi-Fi icon, let me just put this guy here to the side. If I click on my Wi-Fi icon, I see a network called Home 5. I see a network called Home 4. I see a network called Guest Ruckus 5. If I open Wi-Fi Explorer Pro, let me just switch here to 2, 4, and 5. Here's the Home 5 network. The Home 5 network is being announced. Let me just bring the AP vendor. That's going to be down here. Down here. There we go. Let's bring this guy over here. Let's actually put it first. There we go. Or let's actually, let's leave it right there. Okay. So I have, as you can see, the same SSID, home 5, home 5, home 5, home 5. So if I click here that I want to join the home 5 network, which one of these home 5s am I going to join? Because notice, I have a Ruckus AP announcing that home 5, that's on an 80 megahertz wide channel, and this is the primary channel 52. I also have a missed AP announcing that home 5 network. I have another Ruckus AP now on channel 56 and a 40 megahertz wide channel, and I have another missed access point announcing the same SSID. And one went away because it's too far, but it will come back. So I have home 5, home 5, home 5. That is the same. Where'd my stuff go? Hang on. I probably hit it too much. Where is it? Where is it? Let me stop sharing and share again. Stop mirroring and then mirror again. There we go. Let me make this a small window. Okay, and then make this. So this is the service set identifier. How do I, hang on. I just put this guy here to the side. So same SSID, same network, see home 5, home 5, home 5, and it's being announced by 3 different APs. So how do we know which one of those 3? How do we identify which radio I want to join? They are all called the same. Well, they are in different channels, but when it comes to the name, it's the same. In the air, you just see Corp, or in the air, you just see home 5. So to be able to identify it, we're going to talk about another acronym, Basic Service Set Identifier, the BSSID. The BSSID. Simon, you're from Australia, man. That's all the way out there, huh? And France. Je ne parle français. Je parle l'anglais. ¿Y cómo, how do you say español? ¿Cómo dice hablo español en French? Ando. Je parle l'español. Ando. Yeah, Ando is not there. It's just
Yeah, yeah. On dit je parle espagnol. I speak in Spanish.
Okay. Je parle español. All right. And then we have people from Chile. Hey, man, we got people from all over the world. This is nice. This is cool. All right. BSSID. Talking about BSSIDs is so important. And Marco from Italy. BSSID. We talk about the BSSID all the time. The BSSID is a MAC address. It's a MAC address that is not the real MAC address of the access point. See, when you look at the access point on the back, it's going to have a MAC address. That's usually the MAC address, and from that MAC address, more MAC addresses come. For instance, notice this guy is the same SSID, but each SSID on each radio has a similar BSSID. CA, notice that all these two, CA and CA, and then guy starts with CE, okay? The next octet is 6E, 6E, 6E on all 3 of them. Let me move this guy out of the way. Then the third octet, then we're gonna have 2A, and this one has 3A, and this one has a 0A. So the third one is different for all of them. And then you have E3, E6, 00, E3, E6, 00. This one got E3, E6, 01. So they're kind of like similar, but different, okay? And we're going to see that this is not how it goes for everybody. Vendors do different things. You know, I'm going to fire up my 12 radio. Let's see if this is still working. Hang on. Hang on. I have my, oh, it's working. My beloved zeros array right here. 12 radios, man, in one box. I love that. Okay. We're going to generate a lot of BSSIDs in the air. But watch this. If I could move that to the other window. Okay. So let's now, for instance, grab, let's see, ubiquity. Let's just grab lab AP. What's this guy announcing? What's that guy announcing? This guy, this guy, this guy. So just AP names. Okay, that'll work. Let me just find one in here that we can use. And now I'll just bring one up. My macro take over there. Okay, this missed AP. Oh, this is the missed brand. I have two APs in here. There we go. This will be a good one. All right, this one access point. Let me just make sure that I am sorting things out by AP name, by access point. Perfect. So that access point. Make this a little bit small. Let me pick one of these guys over here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'll use this guy. This is one access point. This access point has two radios. Has a radio in 2.4, channel 1, and has one radio in 5 gigahertz in channel 52. This guy, this is another guy out there. That's another AP. Let's forget about that one for a second. Let's only look at this one access point. This one access point has the home 2.4 radio that only exists in 2.4. That's why it's called home 2.4. See, it's only in channel 1. The home 5 network only exists in 5 gig in channel 52. The guest Ruckus 5 only exists in 5 gig. See, there is now in 2.4. The guest Ruckus 2.4 only exists on 2.4. Oh, even the dogs are learning Wi-Fi. Look at that's a cute dog, man. What's the name of the dog?
Cashew or Cash?
Cash. Yeah, I like Cash better. Who doesn't like Cash? Yeah. So the guest Ruckus network exists on both. See, there is a guest Ruckus in 2.4 and a guest Ruckus in 5 gig. This is the reason why having 2.4 only SSIDs or 5 gig only SSIDs is a good idea. I've done that for years. Many guys have done that for years. Others say, oh, no, that's a bad idea. You have to have the same SSID everywhere. And yes, in 6 gig, that becomes another issue. And then Apple does it differently. And then having the same SSID in all radios is what they recommend. So you can do transition from one to the other easily. But let me just tell you this. If I join the home 2.4 network, see, if I join home 2.4, I'm going to go to 2.4. That's it. If I join the home 5 network, I'm going to go to 5 gig. See, let me just come up here. If I choose the home 2.4 network, there is a missed AP announcing home 2.4 in channel 1, and there is a Ruckus AP announcing home 2.4 in 2.1. So if I join the home 2.4 network, I am on 2.4. If I join the home 5 network, I have 3 guys announcing home 5. This Ruckus AP, that Ruckus AP, and this missed AP. So I go to 5 gig. But if I join guest Ruckus, where am I going to go? 2.4 or 5? I don't know. It's a decision that the client's going to make. And this is why you may end up with many clients in 2.4 because they're looking for the guest Ruckus network. And then they start looking for channels bottoms up. They start at channel 1 and they go to channel 1 like, hey, I'm looking for the guest brackets network. And this guy responds like, net 39, you're so hot. I like you. I'm going to join you. And it does not even look for any other networks in other radios or anything. It just joins the first one that it finds, and hey, in channel 1 is where you're going to go. Maybe a client is going to keep looking, and then it's like, oh, well, you're in channel 1, but you're in channel 6, and then maybe it's going to look at channel widths and going to say, well, you're on a 20 megahertz wide channel, but I like wider channels because I have more subcarriers and I can go faster. But then maybe it's going to look at channel utilization and say like, yeah, you know, I like 2.4 because it's got bigger waves, it goes further, it goes through stuff easier, but I like wider channels and the channel utilization is lower in 5 gigs. So maybe if it looks at that channel utilization field, it's going to look at this and say like, you know what, 12% channel utilization is better than 30% channel utilization. This channel is less busy, so I'm going to prefer this guy. But then it's a decision that now the client has to make. You cannot force clients to join one band or the other. And you may say like, yes, my vendor has band steering. You know, my vendor will steer clients to the band that I prefer. That doesn't work. I've seen that in many places that you have band steering and you still end up with a lot of clients in one band or the other. And what's the method if I have too many clients, let's say in 2.4, and I want to send them to 5 gig? It's not like the AP is going to carry him over to the other radio. Like, no, I'm just going to de-authenticate you. Boom, kick you right out. And then you're going to have to make a decision on which AP to join. And maybe you're going to come back to channel 1 and I have to take you. And maybe because I'm doing load balancing or band steering, I'm going to de-authenticate you and kick you out, hoping that you're going to go to 5 gig next time. And what have you done? What if you come back to channel 1? Then I'm going to have to take you. And every time you are joining channel 1, you are going through a whole association process. Getting beacons, per request, per response, authentication request, authentication response, association response, then going for the 4-way handshake and generating the keys and joining. And then if I get kicked out, then I'm going to have to go through the whole process again, generating more overhead, more traffic in the air. So SSIDs, name of the network, BSSID, let's talk about them, BSSID. If I go back to my Ruckus radios, let me see where my Ruckus is. We were looking at this guy that is on channel 1 and 52. So how are we going to define the MAC addresses for each one of these guys? Notice that Home 24 has a BSSID, 7047775D C890. Okay. Guest Ruckus 24, another SSID on the same radio. It has, notice all of them actually. They all start with 70, 47, 77, and then this next set of numbers for this guy is 5D, and in 2.4, all of them, the next one is 5D, 5D, 5D. But in 5 gig, the next set is 9D, 9D, 9D. So it changes this number. That's why here in the name, Adrian has placed a hash, and then that, because the ones that don't change, they remain what they are, but then the hash indicates which numbers change. So here, anything 5D is to indicate the 2.4 radio, anything 9D is to show the 5 gig radio. And then, let's see who's, there we go. Now, the next one is going to be D for everybody, then C8 for everybody, and now it shows 9 and hash, meaning the last octet changes. 90 for Home 24, 91 for Guest 24, 92, and 94 for this visual judge SSID. So this changes the letter here, the 5 or the 9 on the very last. So that's how Ruckus does it. Now let's look at another access point. How about we look at this missed access point? See, this meshed And there we go. Let's just sort them out by channel. I think I have multiple missed APs that I'm seeing here. I do have an AP43 and an AP45. So let's just look at let's leave it right there. This access point, notice it starts with A8, 38, 79, 7A, 4C, and then everything is the same for all SSIDs, and only the last portion changes. So this home 24 has a BSSID that ends in A8. This home 5 and 6 ends in 89. This network called Keith ends in 93. This other home, this is the same one, see, in channel 37, that's in 6 gig, and the channel 149 in 5 gig. So that was 6 gig. This is 6 gig, and it changes the last octet. It is 89 in 6 gig, and it is 92 on 5 gig. So the BSSID is a MAC address that comes from the radio of the access point, but then something changes. Some vendors will change like the first octet, some will change the middle, some will change the last. They'll do it differently. I have a Cisco over here too. Let me see if I have, this guy is on, oh, but I have only one SSID in there, so it doesn't serve as right. We'll just pull some captures that I've done at places, and then we'll look at BSSIDs. So the BSSID is a MAC address that is derived from, it comes from the radio that is generating, announcing that SSID, and then you will have something similar for most of it, and vendors will change the last one, the middle one, some change the beginning, they all change, but it's just a MAC address that is kind of virtual, okay? But it's not virtual. It's somewhat part of a real MAC address, and it just changed, because if you have only one radio and you have one MAC address that identifies that vendor and that device, then from there you start just breaking and then adding. If you have a 2.4 radio, then the 2.4 SSIDs are going to have each a BSSID that is somewhat related to the original MAC address, and then it changes one of the digits to differentiate it from others. That's why some vendors announce that they can do 16 networks per radio, because it's a hex value and it's a value from 0 through 50 through F, 15 through F. Then it changes one character, and then you end up with 16 possible combinations for that radio, and then 16 more for the other, which is a bad idea. Of course, we don't want 16 networks in a radio. Although I've seen up to 14, I haven't seen any higher than that. But the more SSIDs you have, the more overhead you're going to have because of all of the traffic in the air. We saw that yesterday. If you haven't seen that session, go ahead, watch it, because it mentions, we talk a lot about the beacons. So a beacon is an announcement that goes from each radio announcing that SSID 10 times per second per radio per SSID. Okay, up to this point, we have covered what a BSS is. Basic Service Set is a radio announcing an SSID and the set of clients associated. Then we saw the Basic Service Set area, which is that physical area that SSID from that radio covers. Then we saw the Extended Service Set. This will be an extended service set because you're extending this guy from one radio to another radio to another radio. Of course, in this case, they are in the same AP, but you're extending it. Okay, it is possible that the 5 gig covers a smaller area than the 2.4, so you're extending that basic service set. And then we have a basic service set identifier, which is the MAC address that identifies that SSID in the air. Now, service set identifier, again, In this example, I don't have 3 radios. Look at the channel. Now we're talking about 1 radio in channel 48 in 5 gig. But it is announcing 3 different SSIDs. The corp SSID, the marketing SSID, the guest SSID. So the session from yesterday, you have 1 SSID being announced 10 times per second. So in this case, in channel 48, the SSID corp is going to be announced 10 times per second. The SSID marketing is going to be announced 10 times per second. Hi, I'm marketing. I'm in channel 48. I can do this. I'll tell you everything about myself. Hi, I'm the guest network. I'm in channel 48. I can do this. I'll tell you everything about myself. And if you want to join the guest network, maybe I have a different type of authentication. Maybe corp is 802.1x. Maybe marketing has PSK. Maybe guest is open with a captive portal. Whoa, captive portals, man, those are bad news. We'll talk about those in another session. But this is 1 radio in 1 AP announcing 3 SSIDs. Remember, the more SSIDs you have, the less airtime you're going to have for data. The more airtime you're utilizing for these management frames, okay? Questions up to this point?
One question
Martin
for
says, yeah, go ahead.
You were showing on the Explorer. I noticed that in the Explorer, you can have that filter where you can say that it's an hash. If I was checking, do you have to change anything from a default profile on the Explorer in order to get to that? Or is it like in the default profile?
Okay, let me see. Okay, in here, you said I have what? The hash?
So you have, how you were showing in Ruckus, you have like a hash when a character changes?
Yeah, this one?
So is it by default that you see this, or is it you got to do something about it? Like in the
I don't know. Here, let me just go to the default profile.
Because I have a default profile, I don't see it. Okay, yeah, so you've done something there probably, I guess.
Because that's my default profile. And then if I go to let's see this Netgear, let's see if I have ring. I'm just saying if I just need an access point. Let's see.
It could be
see,
the
like
difference
this one,
between
like
this one. Yeah, this one doesn't show it, right? I have the Pro, but I have the Windows version. Maybe that's the difference.
Oh, the Windows just behaves different, man. There are things that you cannot do on Windows that you can do on Mac. Get a Mac, man. Get real. So
thank you. Yeah,
no, Windows
I
works too. There are just some limitations.
Yeah.
It must be something with the OS. But in this case, notice that the Cisco guy, it has a hidden network, another hidden network, and a Cisco 9166 SSID. And the last, see, is the same in all of them. It has 00, E9, 39, 82, 49, and it changes the first characters. See, it plays with, if it's, let's see what band is this. This is channel 11. See, this is just move this guy over here. So in 2.4, it uses 5.6, but this one, see, that's in channel 36, and it also starts with 56, but it changes this octet. Instead of 92, it's 82. And then there's SSID that it's also in 5 gigs. See, these both are in channel 36, same AP, but then this one is 00, E9, 39, 82, 49, and then this one is 5.6, and this one is 6A. So it's just all vendors just play with different things. Now, Martin posted in here, says, for those who want to know, there is nothing in IEEE standard that discusses band steering. Oh, that was prior. I thought it was related to this one. These vendor features and clients may not understand what the vendors are doing, and vendors don't disclose the algorithms and use proprietary solutions. Yes. Band steering.
No, I think that makes sense.
That doesn't have, it's not written in the standard. So now let's say I do have, where's my zeros? My zeros, come on. Ah, look at this beauty. Man, this is beautiful. I use this you probably notice now where I got the documentation for my, the session yesterday, we talked about channels. Yeah, with one device, I generate all of these SSIDs, okay? So Cirrus, that's this brand in here. Each one of these is detected, and notice this radio, this is one radio. It's kind of like treated as a separate AP, because radios actually in documentation, more nowadays that we're talking about Wi-Fi 7, are referred to as APs. So we don't talk about the 2.4 radio and the 5 gig radio. We talk about this AP in 2.4 and this AP in 5 gig, even though they're coming from the same access point. That I'm sure is, of course, when we get to a Wi-Fi 7 session, we'll talk about it. And that's in preparation for Wi-Fi 8. Because, you know, you in Wi-Fi 7, you create an MLD MAC address, and then that MAC address where you associate is going to have 2 or 3 radios beneath it. So they all have their own BSSIDs, each radio, but then there's like a virtual MAC address that becomes the MAC address where you associate, and then you're going to have the 2.4 AP, the 5 gig AP, and the 6 gig AP. Actually, you're on the same AP, so they are radios, but they are talked to and referred to as APs, the 2.5. So this is 1 zeros array. They don't call them APs. It's not an access point. It's an array. And that array has 12 radios, but notice that each radio is treated as an access point. Good. That's good. Then inside that radio, see, this radio is on channel 36, and in there I have 6 SSIDs. I have a marketing SSID, a corp, an admin, and sales, and I have a hidden SSID. And I have a guest, and I have a management. So I have a whole bunch of SSIDs, okay? If I look at channel 36, notice that this guy does not report channel utilization or the AP name. These 2 fields, the BSS load and the AP name, those people don't have to do them. Some vendors don't use them. We need them. When we're doing surveys and troubleshooting, you want to see the AP name and you want to see channel utilization. I'm going to show you here in a little bit another file that has those fields filled up. But then notice in here, all of these SSIDs are being announced in channel 36 by that radio. And what changes? Let's see how zeros does it. All of the first section is 000 for everybody, 0F for everybody, 7D for everybody, 3A, 42 for everybody. Even the 6 is the same for everybody in this radio. And notice the hash indicates that only the last number is what changes. There is 1, there is, well, actually it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't see a 4. There is a 5, there is a 6, there is a 7. If I create another SSID in that radio, most likely it's going to be 68. That's, you know, it just changes the last octave. And if the only number that changes is the last one, then I can have a maximum of 16 SSIDs in this radio, which you don't want 16 SSIDs in radios. You want to keep that number low. You want to know why? Watch yesterday's session, 358. Okay, questions or comments up to this point? We could talk about single channel architecture, but there's not much of that left. I don't know if the Oslo airport still has Meru. Meru is a company that they use single channel architecture. The way it worked is that it creates an SSID, and that SSID is going to have one virtual BSSID. And every AP announces that BSSID. So it's not going to be like multiple channel architecture. That's what we're doing here. That multiple channel architecture, you have channel 36 and you have channel 44. And then if I look, watch this. If I look at the network name, if I look at management, see, management, that network is being advertised in multiple radios, in channel 6, in 36, and 44, and 48, and 52, and 56, 64, 149, 153, 157, 161. See, the same network is being advertised in all of those different radios, okay? So in single channel architecture, they all would have the same BSSID. In here, of course, this is multiple channel architecture. They all have different BSSIDs, different MAC addresses associated with each one of them. Since this is all coming from the same array, they're going to be very similar. See, 00, 0F, 7D, 3A, 41, 42, 41, 42, 41, 42, 41, 42. It changes in some of them. And then the very last one is what's going to change for all of them. A7, 6.7, F7, B7, and it just changes on all of them. Okay. Yes, Meru was acquired by Fortinet, but there's still Meru out there. So, and the reason why they adopted multiple channel architecture is that Fortinet did not want to pay like $2 million to have the developer teams work on single channel architecture moving forward for their platforms. And they said like, they just shelve it. They just use multiple channel architecture. So it's not that they adopted it. They just decided to kill the other one because they didn't want to put more money into developing and continue the single channel architecture. Besides, I did a project with Mr. Parsons at the university, Wayne State University in Detroit. And they had Meru. And I said like, yes, single channel architecture. I'm going to get to play with it. And I go there, they had multiple channel architecture. I said like, why? Meru, it's multiple channel. Yeah, but the thing is that we are in the middle of Detroit, middle of the city. It is so busy everywhere that there's no way to use one single channel and not be oversubscribed and have too many devices sharing the same medium. So it doesn't escalate. It doesn't grow easily because you're using one channel, and the contention is the same. If you have multiple APs in one channel, then they're sharing the channel. All right, let me go back here to my beloved. Where's my stuff? Oh, it's on the other screen. Hang on 1 second. Okay.
Ferney,
Yes.
is this the one you brought in from your old school work? The serious one?
These zeros, oh yeah, that we had it there, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a rapid deployment kit. I use that for training and for documentation. When I write.
You use it for juggling, as I remember, correct?
Oh, those were 4 radios, and I still have some of those. I've taken them to WLPC and given them away for free.
Okay.
Oh yeah, German says he surveyed the Oslo airport. I'll have that survey that I did at Oslo with Ekahau years ago, and I'll have it ready probably for another session. All right, so SSID, this radio is announcing different SSIDs. Each one of them is going to have a basic service set identifier, BSSID. So when we talk about a BSSID, it's a MAC address that identifies an SSID in the air. That's how you differentiate it. They will have different names, yes, but if they are called the same, they're all going to have different BSSIDs. Okay. So now let's talk about interference. So what is Wi-Fi interference? I know lately there's been a lot of buzz that, it shouldn't be called CCI, it should be called CCC. Okay, call it whatever it is, but after all, it's all interference. Okay, they call it, no, it's co-channel contention. Well, co-channel interference is what we've learned for 30 years, huh, Martin? It's been there for that, and they call it contention. Yes, sure, call it contention. But after all, a device will not transmit if you can hear somebody else talking on the same channel. If you can decode their frames in the same channel, then you're going to stop. And if it's energy, something you don't understand because you cannot decode, or it's just a microwave oven or something else, then you still stop. So after all, I think it's still causing you to stop, regardless of if it is a decodable frame in the same channel, or if it's energy on that channel, it's making you stop. So yeah, contention interference. Let's talk about CCI, co-channel interference. That's basically interference from other Wi-Fi devices in the same channel. That's CCI. Interference that is being caused by other devices in the same channel, other APs or other clients. As a matter of fact, if you only have one radio in channel 36, for instance, and you have 10 devices, then you have client devices like tablets and phones and barcode scanners. Then those 11 devices, the 10 clients and the access point, those are 11 radios that need access to the medium. And how many get access to a medium? One device. Only one device talks at a time. Yes, I know with AX and Wi-Fi 6, there is OFDMA, and we talked about that briefly when we talked about channels earlier this week. Go to session 356, learn about channels. But then those 11 devices are causing each other interference because they are contending for the medium. That's what's called co-channel contention, co-channel interference, CCI. Now, if you have another access point also in channel 36, and they hear each other at -85 or stronger. Some documents show that threshold -86 or stronger, or -82 or stronger. Whatever threshold you have set. And in Cisco, you can set that up with RxSOP and see how sensitive it is and when it's going to stop. In Aruba, they call that interference immunity. Okay. Yes, let's see. Remember someone saying move to Cisco from Fortinet at Oslo Airport. Yeah, that sounds about right. Then, if you have another access point, also in channel 36 with 10 devices, now you have a total of 22 devices sharing channel 36, contending for access medium or access to the medium on channel 36. And it has to go through a whole contention process. This is CCI, APs in the same channel. And we go through this a lot. Sometimes say, yeah, we have interference. From what? Say, oh yeah, this network called the Hilton network. No. Don't worry about it. Ours is the Corp network. The Hilton is that hotel across the street. Don't worry about it. I worry about it because they are on the same channel. It doesn't matter if it's another network or if it's another brand of APs or if it's another SSID that is not yours. It doesn't matter. If they are on channel 36, whatever is on channel 36 is sharing channel 36. It's that simple. All right, questions about CCI or CCC? Okay, simple enough. The other term, the other type of interference we talk about in Wi-Fi or also Wi-Fi interference is adjacent channel interference. This is actually a bad example because the channels are basically the same, but this will be more CCI. But this is a good example to show, like, if you have an AP on channel 1 and another one in channel 3, and those OFDM shapes, the spectral max, they are on top of each other, like interfering with each other. This area over here, this is, just bring this in here. See, this guy, if you have this as an OFDM shape, and this is all energy because it has all those subcarriers where you're sending waves, you're sending energy. And then this other guy has another OFDM shape. And this energy in here, in those subcarriers, because it also has its subcarrier sending data. And since this guy is in channel 3, and this guy is on channel 1, their center frequencies don't match, then they're going to be causing each other interference. Here's another example of adjacent channel interference, a more common one. And this is the actual definition. This is when you have an adjacent channel and those APs are too close. If you have an AP here on channel 36, okay, remember that OFDM shape. Let me just try to make this more like the OFDM shape. And it has like that skirt, that energy that bleeds out. And then you have this other guy here on channel 40. They're adjacent to each other. And then it has an OFDM shape. It has that skirt, that energy. Then these guys will be causing each other adjacent channel interference. That is if the APs are too close. That's why in design, you know, if you are designing a big open space, you want to put an AP here in channel 36. The next one, if it's going to be too close, then don't put in channel 40. Skip one, put in 44, 48, or 52, and then just do a channel plan where you try to keep them separated. Isn't there a song goes like that? You gotta keep them separated. Adjacent channel interference. Then there is the worst of them all, overlapping basic service set. CCI is bad, ACI is evil, and OBSS is the worst of them all. What overlapping basic service sets mean is that you have not only APs on top of other APs, but their primaries don't match. See, this guy is on channel 36. See, this is on channel 36. That is its primary channel. And that's the only channel it's serving. But then there is this other guy that has channel 48 as the primary. This will be the primary channel. Just put the P over here. And then these other ones are secondary. So 44 is secondary, secondary is 40, and secondary is 36. The first one on channel 36, this is, you know, the primary and the only channel. It doesn't have any secondaries. But then there is also a 40 megahertz wide channel here on channel 44, and the primary is channel 44. So this 36, that's the primary. The primary for this guy is this channel, and that's a secondary. When you have all those primaries that don't match, this is bad. There's a lot of interference, and they're not in the same channel. All the management and control frames, all of the beacons are going to go on a 20 megahertz wide channel on the primary channel. So the guy at 80 in channel 48, this guy over here, that guy is going to be sending beacon on channel 48 only. The guy on channel 44 at 40 is going to be sending beacon on channel 44. And the guy on 36 is like, well, I'm on 36, is going to be sending beacon on channel 36. So I don't say, and all of these contention processes and threshold and stuff are measured, calculated, estimated on the primary channel. Yes, there are other things that we talked about in the previous session about channels. And one of them, let's just mention it here briefly when I find my pen. Oh, here it is. And is this: if you are using this 80 megahertz wide channel, then you're going to have to send RTS, request to send, hey, can I use this 20? RTS, can I use this 20? Let me just stagger them so they're not on top of each other. And then on 44, it's going to say, hey, can I use this channel? And then it's going to send an RTS frame also in channel 48. And then hopefully it receives CTS. Like, yeah, go ahead and use channel 36. Yeah, go ahead and use channel 40, clear to send. Yeah, go ahead and use channel 44, CTS. Yeah, go ahead and use channel 48. Then I will use the entire 80 megahertz wide channel. This is a protection mechanism to make sure that I don't send waves, energy on all 420 megahertz wide channel and step over and hurt all of these other 20 megahertz wide channels. It's a protection mechanism. And then when I send my data and use all 80 and I'm done, I'm going to send an ACK on all three of them. ACK, okay, got it, finish, I'm done. Okay, got it, finish, I'm done. And then it's going to get more overhead. And that's what this protection mechanism does, okay? That's why OBSS increases overhead. It's harmful to the network, and you don't want 20s and 40s and 80s under the same roof, especially if they are your own network. I've seen this coming from Meraki devices. They will come and assign 20s and 40s and 80s in the same network. It's just like, oh, that's RRM doing its magic. Overlapping basic service sets. Okay. Here's another term for you. A collision. This is a conceptual term because in real life, it's not like those waves crashed against each other, have a collision and fall off the sky. No, it doesn't happen that way. It's a term that basically, if you have multiple devices in the same channel and they happen to send waves at the same time and go into the AP receives waves. Remember, in the air, they don't have colors. In the air, they don't have names. In the air, it's not a BSSID or an SSID. It's just waves. And then out of those waves, the device that receives those waves has to get the ones and zeros out and start disassembling that. You want to learn more about that? Go back to session, I don't know, 337, one of the first ones we saw when we learned about all these waves. So it's going to get the ones and zeros out of those waves. That's the modulation section, okay? Then it puts it back together, and then it say like, oh, this is coming to this MAC address, and it's coming from that MAC address, and then I am supposed to do this with this frame. But when I receive waves from one device and waves from the other device, I don't know who said what, and I cannot distinguish one from the other and separate them and get them out. So that's a collision, and basically what does the receiving device does? Nothing. It just drops it like, nah, I don't know who said what. Then this guy is going to have to retry. It's like I send my waves, and I didn't get an ACK. So I'm going to have to retry. This guy also sent his waves. The AP got waves from multiple devices at the same time, and that's nothing. This guy has to retry. Every time they have to retry, they have to go through a whole contention process again, okay? So that's a collision. RTS, CTS, the one I just described, it's a protection mechanism that in this case, it is, yes, it's increasing the amount of traffic in the air, request to send, clear to send. You just added more traffic. Just think of a simple conversation. Instead of being, Mom, I'm hungry, I'll give you food. It's going to be, Mom, can I talk? Sure, son, go ahead, talk. What do you have? I'm hungry. Okay, I'll give you food. So we are increasing the amount of frames in the air. Instead of being data ACK, data ACK, data ACK, it's going to be RTS, CTS, data ACK, RTS, CTS, data ACK. And this is kind of like the format of how it goes. See, the RTS, there's going to be a SIF, there's a CTS, there's a SIF, there's data, there's a SIF, there's an ACK. It takes more time. So all of this stuff is trying to avoid collisions. Interference in Wi-Fi that comes from Wi-Fi, which is the highest, remember that. Most of the interference in Wi-Fi comes from Wi-Fi, from other networks, other APs, other clients in the same channels sharing the channel. These are protection mechanisms. RTS is one of them that helps prevent this. And if you have overlapping basic service set, automatically when channels go wide, they enable that protection mechanism and then start sending RTS, CTS on each one of the 20 megahertz wide channels. All right, let me just bring up one file on Wi-Fi Explorer. Let me just bring up Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. Let's see what I have open recently. 13A. Yeah, let's open this guy. Okay. Lots of APs. Lots of different networks. There is Cisco, there is Action Tech, there is Ubiquity. If I look, let's say at this operations SSID, that operations SSID is coming from a Cisco infrastructure, and evidently it's in 2.4, and it's also in 5 gig. That same SSID is being announced on these guys. Notice that these two APs are on channel 40. That will be CCI. This guy on channel 48 and 52, they are causing each other adjacent channel interference. They're too close to each other. Yes, that's the reality. Now, is that the end of the world? And if you have interference, it's not going to work? No. Remember, The biggest problem that Wi-Fi has is that it works always, okay? Yeah, if you have more APs all in the same channel or in adjacent channels, yeah, there's more potential for interference, but it's still going to work. If I go to 6 gigahertz, this operations SSID is not on 6 gig. There is this Ubiquiti guy here announcing that network, okay, in 6 gigahertz, and that is on channel 5. That's the primary. There's nothing else in this area. Of course, this reading was taken at a place, and only I have one AP available in 6 gig. In this case, really briefly before we end, this Ubiquiti access point is announcing the Summit 5G network in channel 5 in 6 gig and channel 132 in 5 gig. Now we have this guy in here. Let me just show you what we discussed yesterday and earlier today. I told you I was going to show you later. Notice that this guy, let me collapse everything, is announcing the Summit 5G network. Same SSID, the one in 5 gig, I mean in channel 5 in 6 gig has this BSSID, 942A6F5E4B2E. The one in 5 gig in channel 132 has a BSSID of 942A6F5E4B2. So it's all the same up to this point, and then it changes the last octet, the last letter, actually. It changes the very last letter. And same SSID, different BSSIDs, and notice that here on channel 132 in 5 gig, yes, in the beacon, there is this, the SSID, the data rates, the traffic indication map, the country, BSS load, how busy is this channel, power constraints, other stuff for 802.11n, information about security, robust security network element. Then you have very high throughput, that's 802.11ac capabilities. And down here, there's a reduced neighbor report. So if a client is looking for networks, it says, hey, I'm on channel 32 and the Summit 5G network, I can do this, I can do, and by the way, if you have a 6 gig radio, the reduced neighbor report is an element inside this one beacon and say like, and I also have an SSID that I am announcing on 6 gigahertz on channel 5 at 80 megahertz wide channel. So if you happen to have 6 gig, you can just go to channel channel 5. Yeah, that's the class. You can go to channel 5, and then there's also a channel 133 in 6 gig. There is a radio in 5 gig that I am offering an SSID. It gives you a short SSID in here. If I go over to channel 5, and let me show the spectrum here, then I will just come and directly send a probe for this guy. Come and look for this guy in here. And instead of coming and looking channel per channel per channel per channel, looking for sending probe requests and getting probe responses, I'll just go to channel 5. Okay, so this is one mechanism using PSEs. Watch the other presentation that we posted yesterday, okay, about preferred scanning channels and reduce neighbor reports. Here we go. I give you what I owed you about the reduced neighbor reports. It's just another information element that helps you find networks in a different band. All right, my friends, I think with this, yeah, it looks like Joel just posted in the chat, say, hey, am I late to a party? Yeah, just like an hour and a half, no worries. Gurpreet, let's see the Wi-Fi things, category, Wi-Fi design. Let me see what else do we have in the chat before we wrap it up. Oslo, Merum, for those who okay, we had people today from Italy, Chile, from the US, Georgia, and Texas. We have people from Australia, France, Sweden, Texas, Nepal. Man, this is great. And where did Joel came late from? Channel utilization, the visual AP. So let me, there was another question about channel utilization. Channel utilization, notice that these guys report how busy the channel is. This information comes from a field called, let me just open this guy, BSS load or QBSS load. That information element reports how busy a channel is and how many stations that device has. So not everybody announces that. See here, there's nothing. These guys do not advertise channel utilization, okay? Same thing with the AP name. Notice that these APs are announcing the name. This is ECA 20, 41, 26. These guys do not advertise the AP name. Let me open one more. Capture, and then this guy shows channel utilization and shows AP names. Another field that not every vendor announces that is extremely useful is the transmit power. See, in here, all these guys are at 12 dBm. This one is at 15 dBm, okay? But again, not everybody announces the transmit power. These are things that when you're analyzing channel interference coming from Wi-Fi devices, remember, this session is about Wi-Fi interference, not interference as a whole. We're going to have another session on other devices that are not Wi-Fi that cause interference to Wi-Fi. This session is related to all of the interference that comes from other Wi-Fi networks. Saur, what you got?
Yes. Hey, hello. First of all, thanks for today's session. Question is, the transmit power that is shown here, is that ERP or the transmit power that is sort of configured for the EP?
You know, very good question. And the vendors, I think it's on the vendors. Martin, help me out here. Because like, for instance, if you're designing in Ekahau, you place the amount of power you're injecting, that's the transmit power, and then it does a calculation and it shows you what the EIRP is. For those of you starting for your CWNA, let me just come back to this real quick. And let me open this guy. Okay. If I have a radio, I have a transmitter here. This is what injects an electrical voltage, a current on the system. And then this guy generates power. So when we say like this guy is transmitted, let's say at 100 milliwatts. That is the current I'm putting in the system that is going to go on a cable, okay? And then, let's say if that cable is too long, the connectors and stuff, let's say this guy loses 3 dB in the system. And then let's say we have an antenna that is, let's say a 13 dBi gain antenna. So now first we're going to have to put all this stuff into dB so we can do the math, because one thing is the transmit power. So how many dBms is 100 milliwatts? Watch the session about dB math. Do we have that session? I think we covered that already. Then you're going to have to convert that. That's the tens and threes rule. So how do you get to 100 if all you have is tens, twos, times, and divide? Well, if you multiply 10 times 10, that's how you get to 100 milliwatts. Since we're talking milliwatts, this on the other side, and the rule is simple. It's so simple that I can just show you right now. The rule is this. If you have you're going to just use with plus, minus, tens, and threes. That's the tens and threes rules. On the dB side, you have these 4 items. Plus, I said minus and I placed a divide here. That's a minus sign. Okay, let me go back. You have plus, minus, tens, and threes. The rule is simple. If on the dB side you have a plus and you tilt it on the milliwatt side, on the normal side, that becomes a times. If you have a minus on the dB side and you tilt it, then you're going to end up with a divide. The 10 is a 10, that's easy, and the 3 is a 2. It's just a trick, okay? Don't try to find an explanation for it because I don't have one. It's a trick and it works. So whatever is a plus or a minus or a 10 or a 3 on the dB becomes a times division 10s and 2s on this side. So if on the milliwatt side I have 10 times 10 equals 100 going in this direction, then what is a 10? When the 10 becomes a 10, the times becomes a plus, and the 10 becomes a 10. So 10 times 10 is 100 milliwatts. That becomes 10 plus 10 on the dB side. So this will be in dBms. So 10 plus 10 is equals 20. So this is the same as 20 dBms of power. This is the transmit power. 20 dBms is what's being injected in the system. So in the exam, you're going to have questions like this, the CWNA exam. So what is the EIRP of the system? Effective isotropically radiated power. That is the energy that actually leaves the antenna. But then you have to calculate this. If you are injecting 20 dBms in the cable or in the system, you are losing 3 dBs. That's a loss, okay? Because you lose 3 dBs, that's a minus. So 20 minus 3, that gives you 17, okay? 17 dBms. And then that energy that is lost here, whatever's left, the 17 dBm that make it to the antenna, if the antenna has a 13 dBi gain, this you add. So that's going to be 20 dBms you started with. You lost 3 dB in the cable connectors, whatever along the way. And then the antenna has 13 dBi gain. Then you add 13 dBis to that. And then you end up with 30 dBm of EIRP. So the question that Saur asked is that transmit power announced in the access point, is that transmit power or is that EIRP? And go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, it sounds like it's going to be what's configured, which is going to be the transmit, I guess. But the question is what the app is showing, I guess. If it's showing what's AP advertising, then I would imagine, because it may not necessarily know if it's a gain of the antenna, because it's like, if it's external antenna, it may not know what the gain is. So I would imagine it would be what's configured.
Exactly. So, and that's going to depend on the vendors, because for instance, we were using some ubiquity access points, okay? They have some had 12 dBi gain, some other had 6 dBi gain antennas. So the transmit power was way low so it was announcing the transmit power, this one, okay? We just use a different color. Oh, how do I go back? Let me use a different color. Let's use orange. Here we go. This is what that guy was announcing. It was announcing the transmit power, and it was low because it was compensating for the antennas. You don't want to be violating the regulatory domain restrictions. If they say in this domain you can only go 30 dBms, then the transmit power is going to be limited so that the antenna doesn't put it over. Because if you send 30 in the transmit power and then you lose 3, then now you have 27, and then you add 13. Now you are at 40 dBm. And then if the regulatory domain says in this channel you can only do 30 dBm, then you're already way past what the regulatory domain allows you to transmit at. So the regulatory domain, they do talk EIRP. They say like this is the maximum energy that can come out of the antenna. Some vendors, I think it's Cisco. Cisco guys, correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm never wrong, except when I'm wrong, which is most of the time. So don't believe everything I say. Okay, if I say something wrong, don't be shy. Just tell me, no, Ferney, you're wrong. This is not how it goes. Cisco, when you have external antennas and APs with the like the E series, you know, the external antenna one, it will ask you like, okay, you're gonna put an antenna, like what is the dBi gain of this antenna? And you put that value so that it knows like, oh, if you're putting in this access point 3 dBi gain antenna, then I can play with power so that I don't go over my ARP. But if you say you're putting a 13 dBi gain antenna, then I'm going to lower the power so that the combination of two and the losses and all the stuff doesn't go over my EIRP. Does that make sense? And you Cisco guys, is that correct? Okay, I assume it's
That's
true.
correct, as per my understanding too, Ferney, from what I have seen.
Okay.
Yep.
So this in the, move this guy to the side. This then in here is the transmit power of the device. Now, whatever antenna you have on it, that's going to yield a different story. And check it out very well with your vendor, because that's been a common problem for Hamina, for Cedos, for everybody. When you, let's say, if you go to, let me see where my stuff is in here. If I go to Hamina, let me see a Hamina design over here.
Hamina displays as ERP, if I'm not mistaken.
So if I come over here, transmit power 6 at 20. This is probably, see, it doesn't say. Let me open my.
It's in their knowledge base, Ferney. I checked before. It's ERP.
That value is 6 dBm on this for everybody.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Let me open this guy. Give me a second. I'll bring you the EKH one. I'll have the EKH one. In the meantime, here, let me just get my Cedos ready. Let me just get one of these guys.
Yeah, Hamina calculates the power plus the gain.
Power plus the gain. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's calculated on the antenna. All right. So let me open, let's say, predictive. Let's open this guy. Yeah, this works. Hang on 1 second. Oh, yeah, let me share my my screen, but I gotta hide something I can't show you. Hang on. I get in trouble. Okay, let me. So client, we gotta keep the client's data protected, right? So let me hide this thing, move this thing around. Let me share my screen real quick. If I can find the button. There we go. Okay. EKH on your screen? Hello.
Yeah.
Is EKH on your screen? No?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes, we see.
All right, so if I come to this access point, let me just go to the settings in here. See, I have 8 dBm of transmit power. Let me take a screenshot of this because I cannot zoom in without you getting hurt in your eyes. It doesn't show you the big letter. So what EKH does really nice is this. I say I'm going to put 8 dBm. Oh, I have to save this guy. Hang on. Let me open this guy again. And if I go to desktop, it's going to be right there. Okay. See, it's 8 dBm of transmit power. But then it calculates that, oh, this antenna, based on what AccelTex provided them with, the antenna gain and the antenna patterns and the charge and all the stuff, EKH does the math. They're like, you know, the EIRP, the power out of this antenna is 12.3 dBms. So it shows you that. And this is why you have to be extremely careful when you're designing, because there are some APs that are really, really bad. Let me just show you one of the worst APs I've ever seen. Arrow hive. If I place this access point in here, that guy is over here. I go to settings. Let me take a screenshot of this so that I can zoom in and show you. And then come over here and open that screenshot. This screenshot. Okay. That IP was so bad that notice, yes, I put 14 dBms of transmit power. Come on. See, I put 14 dBm of transmit power, and then out of the antenna come 15.7. So that's like a 1.7 dBi gain antenna. In 2.4, I put 8 dBm of power and 7.6 come out. There's like negative gain on that antenna. Actually, the power coming out of the antenna is less than the power I'm injecting in the system. So keep eyes on this when you're designing and ask your vendors, because they may lie about it or they may give you wrong information about it. They're not going to lie on purpose, but it may be problematic if you're designing and you don't know if the value you're using is the transmit power of the EIRP. And based on the antenna that you're using, yeah, you may be transmitting louder than you're supposed to in that regulatory domain. All right, with my friends, with this, I think we get to the end of this session 359 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. Let's see what Cito shows in here. 14 dBm. Again, is that transmit or EIRP? Represents the conductive power of the radio transmitter. Heat map showed the total power radiated by one radio chain, the conductive power plus the antenna gain. So assume this is EIRP, what we're seeing in the screen. Heat map coverage does not include a potential MIMO gain. There may be an increase in coverage if both the client and the AP support multiple radio chains. This increase is called MIMO gain. So they give you a little bit more of information here so that you know what you are designing with. All right, my friends. I think this is it for today. Let me just bring up, where's my other screen? Where's my other? Oh, I think this thing is gone. Yeah, let me just stop mirroring here and mirror again and bring this guy to the other window. Okay, and with this, we get to the end of session 359 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. Today is Monday, July 27. We are at the end of this day. We started at 6 in the morning here in Utah. I know there were guys from Australia, guys from France, from Sweden, from Norway. We had people from Chile. Oh, hey, all over the globe. That's nice. That's beautiful. From Nepal. We had people from Nepal and from where else? What did I miss? France, Italy. People from Italia. How are things in Italia these days? It's all going good. Who else? We have people from the US, Texas, and we have people from Georgia. We have people from Georgia, all the way down from Georgia. All right. Well, my friends, today we talk about Wi-Fi interference. Remember, all these videos will be recorded. If you missed it, then, hey, go back and watch it. If I'm too slow for you, then just put it. You know, the nice thing of watching the recording later is you can put it at 2x speed and go really fast. I don't know how am I going to sound with an accent at 2x the speed. Ooh, good luck with that. Good thing there are some closed captions that you can put on the YouTube videos, and, you know, you can get the text if the translators can keep up with me, and
They
they
do actually, Ferney, they do actually. So you did a couple of sessions, you know, on the Anna Care Center, the last one you did on your Spanish ones. So I was able to take both of those, put them into AI, and that gave me a good summary of what you spoke from those two sessions.
Nice.
I'll share them with you later to see.
All right,
It's actually
beautiful.
interesting. Yeah.
think
And
So
that's
very
why,
useful.
my friends, we're doing this for free so that nobody gets excluded, and nobody, if you cannot afford those expensive classes, hey, we're going to do it here for free. And it's recorded and it's out there, and you can give this to your friends, your interns. You know, one of the reasons why I created this is because I needed to train some kids, and I say like, yeah, but I don't want to go through the whole thing with you, and then the next kids I'm going to have to train them again, and the next thing I'm going to have to train them again. Then I said like, let's just record them, but not just like, hey, let's do a session here. Let's do the full-blown class. Those of you who have sat down with me in class before, you know, this is it. This is the class. But the best part is that we're not bound to a brand, a logo, a name. We're not sponsored. I'm not being paid. You're not being paid to be here. You're here because you want to. So this is the best part. We're sharing this with the community, and you can train your interns, because you're going to have to train people too. Guess what? Say like, oh, you're new here and you don't know much about Wi-Fi, but you want to learn? I don't have time. But hey, guess what? We have a friend. His name is Ferney. He's from Colombia, and he recorded these videos and uploaded them to the web for free. And you can just have people get trained, and you don't have to do it training. I'll do it for you. I'll wake up at 5:30 in the morning, take a cold shower so that I wake up, and then come and share with you. But hey, it's my pleasure. Here is where we give training free for everybody, and also free love for everyone. Thank you very much. I'll see you to the next session. I'm going to Reno, Nevada for a Wireless LAN Professionals Wi-Fi troubleshooting class tomorrow. I might have the session in the morning. I'll have my bags packed today. That's why I have a mess behind me, just trying to figure out all the stuff I have to take. I was going to drive, but I decided to fly, because if I drive, I'll fill my van with tripods and batteries and stuff, and then that's no good. If I fly, I just have to bring what I can bring on the plane. So that limits me to bring my man cave on the road. So I will see you tomorrow morning. We'll learn more Wi-Fi. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Ferney.
Thank you, Ferney. Have a good one.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Hey, how do you say goodbye in Matthias? How do you say goodbye in Sweden? In Swedish?
Hej då.
Hey do?
Hej då. Yeah.
Hey do. All right.
Hej då.
Hey do. Hey do, everyone.
Hej då.
I don't want to ask how you say everyone in Swedish, because then I'll be in trouble probably. There's going to be some sound
You're
from
never
here.
in trouble.
Yeah. How do you say goodbye, everybody, in Swedish? Okay, you say it.
Hej då allesammans.
See, I know I was going to be in trouble. All right.
Yeah.
Now, Gurpreet, where are you originally from?
India, Ferney.
India. How do you say goodbye, everybody?
It depends. There's so many languages, Ferney, depending on which
that's
language
right.
you speak,
India's
right?
got
It's a
like,
third. It's a 35 languages, right? So it's hard to kind of
okay,
pin
just
down on one.
do the most used one, the one you use at home, the one your mom would use at home.
Hindi, that's probably the most common, I would say that would they say. So you'll say, oh, let me make sure it's the easy version I'll say here. So it's
just say it. You don't have to spell it out, man. Don't worry.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Gurpreet,
Yeah, bye doesn't sound Hindi to me.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye-bye
you,
is the
Gurpreet.
only one I said. All right, take care, guys. Thanks, Ferney, again.
All right, take care. Goodbye.
Bye.